talking about anything and everything regarding athletics. Here are the supplements I use, Upper Echelon Nutrition. If you guys are interested, check it out in the bio. Let's get it. I want to read you a short snippet from Supertraining and then talk about it a little bit. So this is page 519, 1.5, section Essentials of the Constructive Effects of the Adaptational Process. So I'll read 2 paragraphs here and then talk a little bit about it. So, the foundation for the development of the adaptational process in sports activity is the strengthened synthesis of structural and enzymatic proteins in the effectively functioning cells. This is carried out through the structural reformation toward greater functional power of the cell structure. With this, the tissues, organs, and the entire body. The pathway to stronger and purposefully directed synthesis of proteins in the body takes place from the short adaptive reactions and long-term adaptation. Strengthened protein synthesis as a natural life-providing reaction of the body in response to external influences and the piling up of plastic process content appears as a constructive effect of the adaptational process. The basis for the constructive effect of adaptation lies in 3 phenomena. 1. Specificity of protein synthesis in the afterwork period, conditioned by the character of the work executed, its intensity, and means of energy provision. 2. Supercompensation of the ingredients that are used up during the time of work. Substrates serving as sources of energy in different structural and enzymatic proteins. 3. A positive correlation between the catabolic and anabolic process brought about by the muscular work. So thinking about what we just read, there are some key takeaways. First off, adaptation is specific. It's the response to a specific type of stressor. So as the text we just read said, it restores, rebuilds, and repairs specific proteins that were broken down, that were worked during that period of time. So what that tells us is our body specifically adapts, rebuilds, and repairs to specific, stresses. So if we want to rebuild and repair and supercompensate so we can make gains in the elastic structures, we need to do movements that train those elastic structures, movements that stress those structures. So it's specific in nature. Second is that it has to be restored. Often we think about the stress aspect, but we need to think about the restoration aspect, the ability to rebuild and repair so we can actually bring about positive change. It also, by the way, mentions in this that there is a short-term and a long-term kind of an adaptation. The short-term might be the acute supercompensation, the immediate repair, but long-term is the one that is sustained. Long-term adaptation is only achieved through successive, repeated short bouts of adaptation. That is, if we want to get stronger in our legs, we cannot simply just squat one time. We also need to squat multiple times throughout a given period of time to allow for full restructuring to take place. This section does not directly mention, but does allude to the fact that we need to organize these type of stressors to allow for proper development. Simply stressing just the muscular system isn't going to necessarily allow your elastic structures to keep up, or vice versa. We need to have some form of organization to our training so these specific responses at the tissue level begin to harmonize with each other so we have a structural reformation that occurs as a more macro outcome. For example, if you want someone to become a very good triple jumper, squatting might be part of the program, but it might not be the entire program. Bringing up leg strength is of significance, but it's not the only aspect that needs to be trained. You might want to bring up other elastic qualities, reactive qualities, and other neuromuscular qualities to help provide the infrastructure per se to allow for that muscular strength that you have now, gotten because you got stronger, to be integrated into the system. Lastly, the paper does not say this, but does allude to this, that we need to consider the best specific training methods for a specific quality. If we are trying to train the muscles, specifically, what is the best way to do so? If we're trying to train the elastic structures or we're trying to train the nervous system, what are those specific methods? So specific methods are actually just means of directing your stimulus with more accuracy. When we talk about developing specific training methods, we're just using that training method as a means to direct a stimulus to create internal change in the body. So when we investigate specific training methods, we should always keep that fundamental principle in mind, that it's not the method that holds any significance in terms of anything special per se. It's just a tool being used to direct a specific stimulus to create change, and that change created with other changes that take place from other specific type exercises or training modalities in conjunction allows for that, what we would call a macro manifestation, a coming together to uniformly create a new higher functioning work capacity. And that's just a fancy way of saying that you get better at the goal you're trying to accomplish. You are able to integrate your different types of strengths into what we see as a jump in basketball or a sprint or a triple jump, whatever it might be. So I'll leave it here for today. I love this book. I'm not affiliated with the book. Supertraining is a book I've read many times before. Go check the book out. It's absolutely wonderful. So I appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.